it was Boris Johnson's final PMQs, and the last PMQs before the summer recess. I hope you have your bingo card ready, as we're looking out for the same answers we've had for over a year. That's right, how many times do you think we're going to hear Johnson's lies on the vaccines, the economy, and jobs? Well, let's see. Eyes down, and let's see who's won this week's PMQs. Bonus point here, Keir Starmer starts with this.
That I do know that the relationship between a Prime Minister and Leader of the Opposition is never easy, and this one's proved no exception to the rule. But I would like to take this opportunity to wish him, his wife and his family the best for the future.
A nice and decent thing to do. Starmer kicks off with a joke about the Tory infighting, as seen in the leaders' debate.
And for anyone who doesn't fancy football, EastEnders is on. So if you'd rather watch outrageous characters taking lumps out of it themselves, you've got a choice. Albert Square or the Tory leadership debates on catch-up. On that topic, Mr. Speaker, why does the Prime Minister think that those vying to replace him decided to pull out of the Sky debate last night?
It was a good opening question. It's pointless asking about actual policy, as Johnson is leaving and, well, he never actually answered the questions anyway.
I'm not following this thing particularly closely, but my impression is that there's been quite a lot of debate already, and I think the public are having an ample opportunity to view the talent. That we had the fastest economic growth in the G7. We're now able to help families up and down the country. If we'd listened to him, it wouldn't have been possible, Mr. Speaker, and I don't think they'll be listening to him either.
And although he does go off on his usual tirade, he did actually start with a witty reply. So the first point goes to Johnson.
They organised the TV debates because they thought it would be a great chance for the public to hear from the candidates firsthand. Yeah. Then disaster struck because the public actually heard from the candidates firsthand. But I am interested in what he makes of the battle for his job. So let me start with a simple one. Does the Prime Minister agree with his former Chancellor that plans put forward by the other candidates are, in his words, I've got them here, nothing more than the fantasy economics of unfunded spending promises?
Well, Mr. Speaker, they know all about fantasy economics because they've already committed to £94 billion of extra tax and spending, Mr. Speaker, which every household in this country would have to pay for, to the tune of about £2,100.
Every Labour pledge made under my leadership is fully costed. Those vying to protect him, Mr. Speaker, those vying to replace him have racked up £330 billion of unfunded spending commitments.
As you can see here, Johnson tries to deflect his answer, but Starmer's ready for him. Point to Starmer. If Starmer worded this question differently, it would have been a winner.
If Rishi has got this great plan for growth, why haven't we seen it in the last 2.5 years at the Treasury? That's a fair question, is it, Prime Minister?
Actually, Mr. Speaker, I think everybody would agree that what you saw in the last 2.5 years was because of the pandemic, the biggest fall in output for 300 years, which this government dealt with and coped with magnificently. By distributing vaccines faster than any other European government, faster than any other major economy, which would not have been possible if we had listened to him.
However, it's a bit of an open goal for Johnson, and again with the repeat answers, but I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, we have actually been through a pandemic. Johnson picks up the point here.
Mr. Speaker, inflation is up again this morning, and millions are struggling with the cost of living crisis, and he's decided to come down from his gold wallpapered bunker for one last time to tell us that everything's fine. I am going to miss the delusion. But his Foreign Secretary didn't stop there, Mr. Speaker. She also said that the former Chancellor's 15 tax rises are leading the country into recession. And the member for Portsmouth North was even more scathing. She said, again her words, Our public services are in a desperate state. We can't continue with what we've been doing because it clearly isn't working. Has the Prime Minister told her who's been running our public services for the last 12 years?
Nice little dig from Starmer about Johnson's past scandals and highlight of who's been in charge for the country for the past 12 years.
Speaker, this is absolute. And again, he's doing this completely satirical. This is the government that is investing £650 billion in infrastructure, in skills, in technology. He talks about public services. What really matters to people in this country right now is getting their appointments, getting their operations, fixing the COVID backlogs. That's what we're doing. Fixing the ambulances. That's what he should be talking about, Mr. Speaker. And that's why we voted through. That's why we passed the £39 billion health and care levy, Mr. Speaker, which they opposed. Every time something needs to be done, Mr. Speaker, they try to oppose it. He's just a great pointless human bollard, Mr. Speaker. That's what he is.
This clearly rattled Johnson, who's going on to claim that fixing the ambulance waiting times, which isn't going as well as the last week, they're now at critical levels. He also throws out a dig at Starmer in retaliation for the gold water paper comment, so point to Starmer.
Because the member for Saffron Walden claimed that she warned the former Chancellor that he was handing taxpayer money directly to fraudsters in COVID loans. She says he dismissed her worries and that as a result he cost the taxpayer £17 billion. Does the Prime Minister think that she's telling the truth?
This is a really good question, again using the Conservatives' own words against them.
One of the last blasts from Captain Hindsight, Mr. Speaker, because at least to me, because they were the party. I remember they were the party who were so desperate for us to be hiring their friends with PPE. They wanted a football agent to supply and a theatrical costumier to supply PPE. Do you remember, Mr. Speaker? We had to get that stuff at record speed. We produced £408 billion worth of support for families and for businesses up and down the country, Mr. Speaker, and the only reason we were able to do it at such speed is because we'd managed the economy in a sensible and moderate way. And Labour, every time they've left office, it's with unemployment higher, they're economically illiterate, Mr. Speaker, and they would wreck the economy.
Johnson fails to answer this question, in fact, tells lies about it. We already know that they gave their friends and donors money in dodgy PPE scams, while people died. There wasn't anything speedy about it. Starmer picks up the point here too.
I think the message coming out of this leadership contest is pretty clear. They got us into this mess and they've no idea how to get us out of it. The Foreign Secretary says we can't go on with our current economic policy. The member for Portsmouth North bemoaned the fact that what we've been doing has not been good enough. And the member for Saffron Walden probably puts it best when she simply asked, why should the public trust us? We haven't exactly covered ourselves in glory. Their words, their future leaders' words. They've trashed every part of their record in government, from dental care and ambulance response times to the highest taxes in 70 years. What message does it send when the candidates to be Prime Minister can't find a single decent thing to say about him, about each other, or their record in government?
It's a home run with this question, from pointing out the fact that the Conservatives don't actually have a clue on how to fix the mess they've made, and showing up yet again the potential leaders. Johnson's reply is woeful, and because he reuses an earlier insult, I'm actually going to deduct him a point.
He's one of those pointless plastic bollards you find around a deserted roadworks on a motorway, Mr. Speaker. We got Brexit done. He voted against it 48 times. We got this country fast out of COVID in spite of everything he would have kept, and when he would have kept us in lockdown. We're fixing social care, Mr. Speaker, when they have no plan and no ideas of their own. And we're now bringing forward measures in the face of strikes, to outlaw wildcat strikes, Mr. Speaker. I can tell you, to outlaw wildcat strikes, I can tell you why he does that funny wooden flapping gesture. I'll tell you why he does that funny wooden flapping gesture. Because, Mr. Speaker, he's got the union barons pulling his strings from beneath him. That's the truth. £100 million, Mr. Speaker. We've restored our democracy and our independence. We've got this country through COVID, and I'm proud to say that when it comes to tackling climate change or sticking up for Ukraine, we have led the world on the international stage. And I want to thank my friends and colleagues on these benches for everything that they have done.
So the winner this week is Starmer. A couple of other interesting points to come out from PMQs. The speaker goes over the top with his gushing remarks to the Prime Minister, probably looking for a peerage.
This is likely to be the final time the Right Honourable Member for Uxbridge addresses the House as Prime Minister. I would like to wish him and his family all the best for the future. Can I say, we've been through many dark times within this House, and none more so than through the pandemic, and always will be remembered for what this House did and the way that you conducted those duties during those dark times, Prime Minister.
Theresa May showing her love for Johnson by being the only Conservative not to give him a round of applause. And Johnson leaves his final PMQs with a hasta la vista baby.
Hasta la vista, baby.
Which is Schwarzenegger's catchphrase and very close to
I'll be back.
And see Grant Davis taking Johnson's big calls right part. Click the video that's on screen now. Don't forget to hit that like button. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.